Start by understanding what scope creep actually means. In project management, scope creep refers to the gradual expansion of a project's goals, tasks, or deliverables beyond what was originally agreed upon. This usually happens when new features, requirements, or changes are added without proper evaluation or approval. The result? Projects can become delayed, budgets can be blown, and teams may feel overwhelmed. Recognizing scope creep early is crucial for keeping your project on track and ensuring everyone remains focused on the original objectives. Scope creep doesn't just appear out of nowhere. It often starts with small, seemingly harmless changes. Maybe a client requests a minor tweak, or a team member suggests an extra feature. Over time, these little additions can pile up, especially if there's no clear process for evaluating or approving changes. Sometimes unclear project requirements or poor communication can also open the door for scope creep. Understanding why it happens is the first step toward preventing it. When scope creep takes hold, the effects can ripple throughout your entire project. Deadlines may be missed as new tasks are added, and the budget can quickly spiral out of control. Team morale can also suffer as members feel overwhelmed by the ever-growing list of tasks. Ultimately, the quality of the final deliverable may decline, as the team struggles to keep up with constant changes. That's why it's so important to recognize and address scope creep early. Scope creep is often triggered by a few common scenarios. For example, clients may not fully understand what's included in the project, leading them to request additional features. Sometimes, stakeholders change their minds mid-project, or new team members bring fresh ideas that weren't part of the original plan. Even a lack of documentation can make it easier for scope creep to slip in unnoticed. Being aware of these triggers helps you stay vigilant. Clear and consistent communication is one of the best defenses against scope creep. When everyone involved in the project understands the goals, deliverables, and boundaries, it's much easier to spot when something is drifting off course. Regular check-ins and updates help ensure that any proposed changes are discussed and evaluated before being added to the project. Open communication also builds trust among team members and stakeholders. One of the most effective ways to prevent scope creep is to set clear, detailed project requirements from the very beginning. This means working closely with clients and stakeholders to define exactly what the project will deliver and what it won't. Documenting these requirements and making sure everyone agrees on them creates a solid foundation for the project. When new requests come in, you can refer back to these requirements to evaluate whether they fit within the original scope. Documentation isn't just paperwork, it's your project's safety net. By keeping thorough records of requirements, changes, and approvals, you create a clear trail that everyone can follow. This makes it much easier to spot when something is outside the agreed-upon scope. Good documentation also helps onboard new team members and keeps everyone aligned, even as the project evolves. Formal change control process is essential for managing scope. This process outlines how new requests are submitted, reviewed, and approved. By having a clear system in place, you can ensure that every change is evaluated for its impact on time, cost, and quality before it's added to the project. This helps prevent unnecessary additions and keeps the project focused on its original goals. Stakeholders play a key role in preventing scope creep. By involving them early and keeping them engaged throughout the project, you can ensure that everyone's expectations are aligned. Regular updates and feedback sessions help catch potential issues before they become major problems. When stakeholders feel heard and included, they're less likely to request last-minute changes. Clients often have evolving needs, but it's important to manage their expectations from the start. Set clear boundaries about what's included in the project and what isn't. Be transparent about the impact of any changes on the timeline or budget. When clients understand the process, they're more likely to respect the project's boundaries and less likely to push for scope changes. Learning to say no is a vital skill for project managers. It's not about being inflexible, it's about protecting the project's success. When new requests come in, evaluate them carefully and don't be afraid to push back if they don't fit the original scope. Offer alternatives or suggest future phases for additional features. This approach keeps the project focused and prevents overload. Not every idea can make it into the first version of your project. Work with your team and stakeholders to prioritize features and requirements. By ranking tasks based on importance and impact, you can focus on delivering the most valuable elements first. This helps manage expectations and keeps the project moving forward without getting bogged down by endless additions. Project Charter is a powerful tool for defining the scope and objectives of your project. It serves as a reference point for what's included and what's not. By sharing the charter with your team and stakeholders, you create a shared understanding that helps prevent misunderstandings and scope creep. Whenever new requests arise, you can refer back to the charter to guide your decisions. Breaking your project into clear milestones makes it easier to track progress and spot when things are going off track. Each milestone should have specific deliverables and deadlines. This structure helps keep everyone focused and provides natural checkpoints to review the project's scope. If new requests come up, you can evaluate them in the context of your current milestone. Holding regular progress reviews with your team and stakeholders is a great way to catch scope creep early. These meetings provide an opportunity to discuss what's been accomplished, what's coming next, and whether any new requests have been made. By reviewing progress together, you can quickly identify and address any issues before they grow. Whenever a change is approved, make sure it's documented. This includes what the change is, why it's needed, and how it will impact the project. Keeping a change log helps you track all modifications and ensures that everyone is aware of what's been added or adjusted. This transparency makes it easier to manage the project and avoid confusion. The project manager is the gatekeeper of the project's scope. It's their job to ensure that all changes are properly evaluated and that the team stays focused on the agreed-upon goals. By communicating clearly, enforcing processes, and supporting the team, the project manager helps prevent scope creep and keeps the project on track. Empowering your team to speak up when they notice potential scope creep is essential. Encourage open communication and create an environment where team members feel comfortable raising concerns. When everyone is vigilant, it's much easier to catch issues early and keep the project on course. Modern project management tools can help you track tasks, deadlines, and changes in real time. These tools make it easier to see when new requests are being added and to communicate updates with the team. By keeping everything organized in one place, you reduce the risk of scope creep slipping through the cracks. It's tempting to say yes to every client request, but overpromising can lead to scope creep and disappointment. Be realistic about what your team can deliver within the given timeline and budget. Setting honest expectations from the start helps build trust and keeps the project manageable. Sometimes, urgent requests pop up that seem impossible to ignore. When this happens, evaluate the impact of the request on the project's scope, timeline, and resources. If it's truly necessary, document the change and communicate the impact to all stakeholders. If not, explain why it can't be accommodated right now. Reviewing past projects can provide valuable lessons on how to avoid scope creep in the future. Look for patterns in where and why scope creep occurred, and use those insights to improve your processes. Sharing these lessons with your team helps everyone get better at managing scope over time. Investing in training for your team on project management best practices can pay off in the long run. When everyone understands the risks of scope creep and how to prevent it, your projects are more likely to succeed. Ongoing education keeps your team sharp and ready to tackle new challenges. While it's important to stick to the project scope, some flexibility is necessary. Sometimes, changes are unavoidable or can add significant value. The key is to evaluate each request carefully and make sure it's worth the trade-off. Flexibility, when managed well, can lead to better outcomes without derailing the project. If you notice that scope creep is becoming a serious problem, don't hesitate to escalate the issue to higher management or key stakeholders. Early escalation can help resolve conflicts and bring everyone back to the original project goals. It's better to address problems head-on than to let them grow out of control. Maintaining high quality while sticking to the project scope can be challenging. Focus on delivering what was promised and resist the urge to add extras that haven't been approved. By balancing quality and scope, you ensure that the final product meets expectations without overextending your resources. Scope creep isn't just an inconvenience, it can be expensive. Every new feature or change can add time and cost to the project. Over time, these costs can add up and even threaten the project's profitability. By keeping a close eye on scope, you protect your budget and ensure a successful outcome. When a change is requested, it's important to negotiate. Discuss the impact on time, cost, and resources with the client or stakeholders. If the change is essential, adjust the project plan and budget accordingly. If not, explain the reasons and suggest alternatives. Good negotiation skills help keep the project manageable. Every change to the project scope should go through a formal approval process. This ensures that all stakeholders are aware of the change and agree to any adjustments in timeline or budget. A clear approval process helps prevent unauthorized changes and keeps everyone accountable. With so many moving parts, it's easy to lose focus on the original project goals. Regularly revisit the project's objectives and remind the team of what you're working toward. This helps keep everyone motivated and reduces the temptation to add unnecessary features. Ambiguity in project requirements can open the door to scope creep. Make sure all requirements are clear, specific, and agreed upon by everyone involved. If something is unclear, ask questions and clarify before moving forward. Clear requirements help keep the project on track. Setting and sticking to deadlines is crucial for avoiding scope creep. Deadlines create a sense of urgency and help keep the project moving forward. When new requests come in, evaluate whether they can be accommodated without jeopardizing the timeline. If not, consider moving them to a future phase. Tracking progress is essential for spotting scope creep early. Use project management tools to monitor tasks, deadlines, and deliverables. Regular updates help you see if the project is drifting off course and allow you to take corrective action quickly. Feedback from your team and stakeholders is invaluable for managing scope. Encourage open discussions about what's working and what isn't. By listening to feedback, you can address issues early and make informed decisions about any necessary changes. Don't forget to celebrate when you reach key milestones. Recognizing progress keeps the team motivated and reinforces the importance of sticking to the plan. Celebrations also provide a natural pause to review the project's scope and make sure everything is still on track. Projects rarely go exactly as planned. Being able to adapt to changes while maintaining control over the scope is a valuable skill. Stay flexible, but always evaluate the impact of any changes before moving forward. Adaptability helps you navigate challenges without losing sight of your goals. Saying no to unnecessary changes isn't just about protecting the project, it's about delivering the best possible result. By focusing on what matters most, you ensure that your team's efforts are directed toward achieving the project's goals. This leads to higher quality outcomes and happier clients. At the end of each project, take time to document lessons learned about scope management. What worked well, what could be improved? Sharing these insights with your team helps everyone grow and prepares you for even greater success in future projects. Creating a culture where everyone feels responsible for managing scope is key. Encourage team members to hold each other accountable and to speak up when they notice potential issues. Accountability leads to better communication, stronger teams, and more successful projects. Strong leadership sets the tone for how scope is managed. Leaders who communicate clearly, set expectations, and support their teams create an environment where scope creep is less likely to occur. Leadership isn't just about making decisions, it's about guiding the team toward success. Templates and checklists can help standardize your approach to scope management. By following proven processes, you reduce the risk of missing important steps or overlooking potential issues. These tools make it easier to stay organized and keep the project on track. Transparency builds trust and helps prevent misunderstandings. Share project plans, progress, and changes openly with your team and stakeholders. When everyone has access to the same information, it's easier to spot and address scope creep before it becomes a problem. Regularly reviewing the project's scope with your team and stakeholders helps ensure that everyone stays aligned. These reviews provide an opportunity to catch any deviations early and make adjustments as needed. Consistent scope reviews are a proactive way to keep your project on track. When your project is finished, take time to celebrate the team's hard work and success. Recognizing achievements boosts morale and reinforces the value of good scope management. It's also a great moment to reflect on what went well and how you can improve for next time. To wrap up, scope creep is a common challenge in project management, but it can be managed with the right strategies. Set clear requirements, communicate openly, document changes, and involve your team and stakeholders throughout the process. By staying vigilant and proactive, you can keep your projects on track and deliver successful results every time.